So right now there's a lot of talk about Elliot Anderson, his future, how much he will cost, and is he going to Manchester United? Welcome to your Forest transfer news. Hi guys, hope you're doing well and welcome to your latest Forest news where we're going to be talking about Elliot Anderson. Yes, international breaks, they may as well call it Elliot Anderson breaks because there's a lot of rumours and I want to clarify everything up for you. So if you're enjoying the content, please don't forget to hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed as well if you are new. And make sure to check out the merch store where you can get Champions of Europe, a reminder of why Forest is so good. And this is going to be important when we talk about Elliot Anderson in just a second. So scan that QR code or click on the link that's pinned. Okay, let's talk about Elliot Anderson. So there's been quite a few interviews, if you like, with one of our good mates, Ben Jacobs, who has been talking heavily about Elliot Anderson and the prospect of him moving from Forest. Now, there have been plenty of reports to suggest that if Elliot Anderson were to go in January, he would cost between 100 and 120 million pounds. However, Ben Jacobs is countering it, saying that actually in the summer, he may not cost that much at all. So Ben Jacobs has done some interviews. I think he was on the United stand, and I'm just going to give you some quotes on it. In fact, let me just give you the background to it. Now, what Ben Jacobs is saying is that currently Elliot Anderson is not pushing for a move because he's been told by the likes of Thomas Tuchel that carry on doing what you're doing and you should be in that England squad, probably one of the first names on there with the way he's been performing. So if Elliot Anderson was to push for a move, and I don't think he is, by the way, but let's just play that hypothetical out for January, the ramifications on that are too strong anyway, because we've seen plenty of players move in the summer. Let's take Isak, for example, one of the best strikers in the Premier League, scoring bagloads of goals for Newcastle, moves to Liverpool, still hasn't scored a goal. His form looks out the window. And there's plenty of other players that we've seen already in this Premier League season that have struggled. So if Elliot Anderson were to move to, say, Manchester United, I mean, who would want to do that, right? But there could be a potential, curve of him settling in, getting used to their system, their style of play and everything. He may not even start. So there's that potential, and then he jeopardizes his place in the England team. So I think personally, Elliot Anderson moving in January is completely off the cards. And like I said, from when I've spoken to him a few times, he's such a humble guy, and he's not going to be pushing heavily for anything like that. If he's getting regular game time at Forest, and also making the England squad is ticking the boxes he wants to tick. And that's the key thing at the moment. Now, Ben Jacobs is saying that there are a lot of clubs circling, and Manchester United's name seems to be the highest one on that list. I think Ruben Amorim has made no secret about how much he likes Elliot Anderson and what he can bring to the Manchester United team. We're also hearing Chelsea. We're also hearing, I saw Real Madrid being linked to him the other day. I will always caveat everything in these international breaks. You see loads of column inches filled by players that are doing well. Now, it's good that Elliot Anderson is being linked to all these teams because it shows what a good player he is. But here's the thing. According to Ben Jacobs, there are a lot of caveats that come into the Elliot Anderson deal in the summer. And potentially what is going to happen, and he's been hinting at it, that Forest may be looking at 100 to 120 million currently, but come the summer, based on circumstances, things could and may change. Now, what are these circumstances? He's not really over-alluded to it, but there have been some subtle hints. So let me give you some quotes from our mate Ben Jacobs. He says that I think his price will be above 50 million, but nowhere near 100 million under certain circumstances, but it's variable. So, for example, if Forest go down, there's provisions to get him a whole lot cheaper. If Forest qualify for European football, then it's more difficult. And say if it's United that are after him, if they qualify for Champions League, then it's a little easier. Now, it's very cryptic in what Ben's saying. Ben's not coming out and saying, if this happens, that will happen and Elliot Anderson will go. I think he's kind of holding some integrity in not starting too many rumours, even though technically it has, to say that, oh, Elliot Anderson's going to leave and he's going to cost this much. So this is my understanding of it. If Forest get relegated, which I don't think is going to happen, but then suddenly there will be triggers in his contract that allows him to leave for probably a European club for X amount of pounds, which will probably be like 60 million, something like that. Now, I'm making up the 60 million figure, but based on what the likes of Ben Jacobs are saying, that's probably in and around it. Now, if Forest stay up, and if Forest don't get European football, be it they don't qualify from the league, or be it they don't win the Europa League, and just end up as your kind of run-of-the-mill, if you like, Premier League team next season, then Elliot Anderson may have a clause in his contract that allows him to leave for a club with Champions League football. And this is the United clause, if you like. So if Manchester United were to finish in the top 5 and qualify themselves for the Champions League, then there is potentially a clause to say that Elliot Anderson could go, or an agreement, if you like. Now, what Ben Jacobs has been very careful at saying is not using the word release clause, and he keeps referring back to Morgan Gibbs-White, because Morgan Gibbs-White did have a release clause, but there were certain steps that needed to be taken to hit that release clause. So what we roughly know from that is that Spurs needed to offer the whole amount up front, or whatever it was, 60 million plus some change, and they didn't do that. They wanted to pay in installments or what have you. So that's where kind of things moved a little bit, and Gibbs-White wasn't able to leave for Spurs. He's saying that with Elliot Anderson, or he's hinting, should I say, there is no flat-out release clause to say, right, on June the 1st, Elliot Anderson can leave Forest for £65 million if this payment method is hit like that, blah, blah, blah. So that's the thing there when it comes to the release clause. There is no official release clause, according to what the likes of Ben Jacobs are saying. Now, these triggers are not release clauses. They're scenarios. So as I say, if Forest do not get European football, and let's just say they stay up, but a Champions League club one comes in for him, then I think there may be a provision of an agreement for, let's just call it 70 million. So this is a lot less than what Forest want to sell him for. Now, what could happen in January is if that clubs do come sniffing around for Elliot Anderson, then Forest are in the driving seat in terms of negotiation, because none of these clauses, I think is the right word, would trigger until the summer. So therefore, Forest could say, let's just say Real Madrid come in January. Forest say, cool, right, we don't want to sell him, we don't need to sell him, but if you offer us 110 million cash up front or over X installments, he's yours. So Forest have that driving seat in January. But the thing is, with a lot of clubs knowing that this will be the case, that if they wait until the summer, I think it's almost an improbability that Elliot Anderson goes in January. Now, again, I still do think that come the summer, Forest will try and push for a sale post-World Cup. But will that even matter if there are these type of clauses built into its contract to allow him? And this is why I keep harping on about just staying up isn't good enough for Forest. We have to match the ambitions of the good players that we currently have in the squad. And we really need to be focusing on this Europa League. If Forest can win this Europa League, get themselves Champions League football, then suddenly Elliot Anderson and all his clauses will mean nothing, because he'll be under contract, he'll be at a Champions League based team, and that's all she wrote. So Forest do need to focus on the Europa League just as importantly as they do the Premier League. So the way I see it is Forest needs to go and win 3 out of their next 4 games, ease themselves away from this so-called relegation battle, and we have to beat Malmo and we have to beat Utrecht in the Europa League and really see if we can push for that. And if Forest find themselves safe and kind of a mid-table team by after Christmas, then I really do think the focus needs to turn onto Europe. Because if we can secure that Champions League spot by winning it, then we don't really have any issues to worry about with the likes of Anderson, Murillo, etc., etc. So, look, that's the update on Elliot Anderson. There's a lot of complications in it. We'll keep you posted. I may even get Ben Jacobs on in the next few days. I'll see what he's up to. If you want to see that, let me know, as always, in the comments. But do you think Elliot Anderson will stay at Forest? Do you think we make it to the summer with him? Or do you think it's inevitable that he goes? Get your thoughts in down below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you've hit the like if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribed if you're new. And we'll see you on the next video. Come on, you Reds.